Okay, good morning.
His mic's
on.
on.
It's on. Okay. I'm a little out of practice at doing this in person. Okay, this is the meeting of the Operations Committee for the district on the 18th of November. The first item is a roll call.
Director Bragman,
Here.
Director Gibson,
Here.
Director Kohler,
Here,
Vice Chair Schmidt.
Here.
And Chair Russell.
Here. Okay, public comment. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
so moved.
Roll call. Any comments on the agenda?
There are no comments that I received on the agenda.
Roll call, please.
Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Gibson, Director Kohler,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schmidt,
Aye.
and Chair Russell.
Aye.
I'm just going to note for the record that our closed captioning is having a lot of trouble with my last name, but I'll just let you guys fix that later.
Okay, public comment on items not on the agenda. Nope. Okay.
That is correct. I did not receive any comments not on the agenda.
Yeah, well, now they can stand up and say it. Okay. The first item on our agenda is to recognize the years of service of the outgoing directors. And this is a meeting I never anticipated happening in my tenure on the board in 18 years. I find it a very disappointing event. It is change for change's sake, which is a fool's errand at best. And we had a well-functioning board, and hopefully the new guys will function well too, but they have a very steep learning curve to be useful to the water district. With that said, I'll move forward. And are these in order or? Under where? Okay. Okay, well, we're going to start with you, Larry. This is a resolution of commendation to Larry Bragman. A resolution of the Marin Municipal Water District Board of Directors honoring Larry Bragman for his years of service as a district director. Whereas throughout his time on the board, Larry Bragman has worked tirelessly to promote the mission of Marin Water. And whereas he has served with distinction as director for 2 terms totaling 8 years. And whereas he has thoughtfully represented community members within the district's Division 3 service area. And whereas during his years of service, he has been a devoted member of the Watershed Committee and the Lagunitas Creek Technical Advisory Committee. And whereas he served as president of the board in 2019. And whereas he will especially be remembered for the district's continuing efforts to address its stewardship responsibility for Mount Tam, including his passionate work to ensure both a herbicide-free and more fire-resistant watershed. And whereas his kindness, energy, and graciousness throughout his service has enriched those fortunate enough to know and work with him. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Marin Water Board of Directors recognizes Larry Bragman's achievements and his contributions to the Marin Municipal Water District and the greater Marin community, and expresses its appreciation and gratitude for those contributions and wishes him well in the years to come. Resolution number 8725 to be approved by the Operations Committee. I need to sign it, right? I need to sign it, right? Okay. Go ahead. If you wish to say something.
Just thank you very much. Did everybody vote in here? No, just thank you very much. Very proud of the work that we did collectively as a board and of course with the staff. Very proud of the work you all did with us through COVID and drought. And, I think we're leaving the district in good shape to move forward. And, that's a pretty good legacy to leave. So thank you very much.
It's interesting. These are in order of years of service. So it's kind of makes it an interesting combination of things to say. The next recipient is Cynthia Kohler. Cynthia and I joined the board together in 2004 and have been very good friends since joining the board. Resolution of commendation, Cynthia Kohler. A resolution of the Marin Municipal Water District Board of Directors honoring Cynthia Kohler for her years of service as a district director. Whereas throughout her time on the board, Cynthia Kohler has worked tirelessly to promote the mission of Marin Water. And whereas she has served with distinction as director for 4.5 terms, totaling 18 years. Whereas she has thoughtfully represented community members within the district's Division 4 service area. And whereas throughout the years, she has served as a devoted member of various district committees, including operations, finance, and communication and water efficiency. And whereas she represented the district on her several regional and state committees, including the Lagunitas Creek Technical Advisory Committee, the Bay Area Water Forum, the Community Choice Aggregation, and the Association of California Water Agencies Federal Affairs Committee. And whereas she served as president of the board in 2007, 2012, 2016, and 2021. And whereas she will especially be remembered for championing innovative and progressive water efficiency programs that put Marin Water on the map as a leader in water conservation programming and contributed to ongoing water savings district-wide. And whereas her creativity and determination has helped to shape development of countless district initiatives that have inspired a more water-wise Marin. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Marin Board of Directors recognizes Cynthia Kohler's achievements and her contributions to the Marin Municipal Water District and the greater Marin community, and expresses its appreciation and gratitude for those contributions and wishes her well in all the years to come. Resolution number 8726 will be approved by the Operations Committee this morning.
Thank you so much, Larry. That means so much to me, as has your friendship over the years. As most of you know, I decided, I always have paper, guys. As most of you know, I decided last spring not to stand for re-election again in light of my growing time commitments associated with my appointment to the US EPA's Environmental Finance Advisory Board and my role at Water Now, where I'm the executive director for a nonprofit network of leaders advancing innovative and sustainable One Water strategies. I'm grateful to have been able to put some of that expertise to work for our community and help establish a more affordable, more climate resilient path here. I've provided a number of farewell thoughts at our last full board meeting. I promise I won't repeat all of those here. Some people have asked me for them, so I've got copies in the back if anybody wants them at the back table. I do want to share a few brief final thoughts. Marin Water and my board colleagues have a great deal to be proud of. We deliver at water every single day that is clean, safe, healthy, tasty, very safe, and exceedingly and reliably exceeds all federal and state water standards. We do this for the incredibly low price of 1 cent a gallon on average, even though we have much higher costs than most water districts because we manage a large watershed with substantial fire, recreation, vegetation management, and fisheries challenges. On top of all that, we enjoy a very strong bond rating and squeaky clean annual audits. Many, if not most, water agencies around the nation would, in my experience, would kill for this record of achievement. All of which is not to say that you don't have substantial challenges going forward. In this regard, I believe we did the right thing earlier this year in launching the water supply assessment. And here I want to give a quick shout out to Jacobs Engineering, which I think is doing a great job on this initiative. The ultimate proof of the value of this exercise will be the extent to which it enables staff and the board and the public to consider options in a portfolio approach that puts cost and water supply impacts on an apples to apples basis for comparison. I'm hopeful we'll get there. It has a ways to go. We know that ensuring local water supply resilience for the long run is not just about augmenting supply, which has been the primary focus of this work, but a host of elements that together ensures the ability of the district to continue to deliver high quality water, even under times of stress. These include, in addition to supply on hand, reliable water infrastructure, a strong, healthy workforce, a functioning watershed, and the district's fiscal health, among other factors. On the positive side, it is clear that the work we've done over the years to identify and quantify supply options is bearing fruit, and that there are several pathways to building the supply redundancies this community needs if the board can get past its older ways of thinking while also managing demand in keeping with the new realities of climate change. We heard on Tuesday that the district is no longer in a leadership position when it comes to deployment of efficiency measures, but also that there are strategies and technologies that our sister agencies have adopted that offer opportunities for us to learn from and grow. Given that these are the options most likely to support affordability and equity, as well as near-term supply resilience, I hope the district will move to take advantage of them sooner rather than later. In that vein, I want to acknowledge Jed Smith, who will be taking over my seat in December. I've spent a lot of time with Jed at this point, and I have every confidence that he will do a great job and be an asset on the board. So I'd like to close with a few thank yous. First, I really want to express my gratitude to the Marin Water staff, including so many who've moved on. I am always inspired by your dedication and hard work. And it is one of my regrets that the public still seems to have such a limited appreciation and understanding for what it is that the workforce accomplishes every day. It has truly been my privilege to work with you. I want to thank my fellow board members for your partnership and collaboration over the years and wish you all the best and much success in your endeavors going forward. I want to thank my wonderful family for their love and endless patience. One of our sons who's here today will soon graduate from college. He was 4 when we started on this journey, giving out cookies at the Whole Foods in Mill Valley. And not enough can possibly be said about my fabulous spouse, who spent all those Tuesday nights on kid care, walked all those hilly precincts, knocked on endless doors and asking people, vote for my wife, please. I couldn't possibly have done this without you guys. And finally, I am again so grateful to my friends and neighbors and constituents in Southern Marin and all of you here and on the phone at the meeting who have had the privilege to represent for these past 18 years. Thank you so much for your enduring support and faith in me. It really has been an honor.
As I said, this is a difficult morning. Our last resolution of commendation is for Jack Gibson. Jack and I have come very close. He's been a great mentor to me, especially learning the ways of municipal government. Those of you who know me know that I'm from the private sector, and I'm used to making multi-million-dollar decisions over lunch and it being done. I hope my new board members recognize that things don't get done overnight. The staff does a wonderful job here and they pull things together. One of the most difficult things about having 3 board members leave at one time is the loss of institutional memory. It has been a devastation to agencies like the USGS, who has experienced this to a great extent. And it is going to be hard on us. Jack, in particular, brings a longer resume than the rest of us, especially at this job. Almost an institution in himself. So with that said, a resolution of the Marin Municipal Water District Board of Directors honoring Jack Gibson for his years of service as a district director. I only wish words could do what I feel. Whereas throughout the time on the board, Jack Gibson has worked tirelessly to promote this mission of Marin Water. And whereas he has served with distinction as a director for 7 terms totaling 28 years, and whereas he has thoughtfully represented community members within the district's Division I service area, and whereas over the last few decades, he has been a devoted member of various district committees, including watershed, finance, communications, and water efficiency, as well as numerous ad hoc committees. He represented the district on several local and regional committees, including the North Bay Watershed Association, the North Bay Water Reuse Authority, the mayors and city councils of Marin Group, the Sonoma County Water Association Contractors Water Advisory Committee, the Community Choice Aggregation, and the Tamalpais Lands Collaborative Executive Committee, which he was later renamed One Tam. And whereas he served as president of the board in 1996, 2000, 2006, 2011, 2015, and 2020. And whereas his expansive and unmatched institutional knowledge of the district's history was memorialized in a book titled Mount Tamalpais and the Marin Municipal Water District, which he authored in 2012 for the Image of America book series. And I'll add to that the profits from that book go to the Mount Tam fund. Whereas he was especially be remembered for the longstanding commitment to addressing challenges through partnership-driven solutions with local and regional agencies to more wholly benefit the community. And whereas throughout the years, his humility, wisdom, and collaborative approach to the work of the director have made him a well-respected colleague, teacher, friend, and mentor to those who know and work with him. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Marin Water Board of Directors recognizes Jack Gibson's achievements and his many contributions to the Marin Municipal Water District and the greater Marin community, and expresses its appreciation and gratitude for those contributions and wishes him well in all the years to come. Resolution number 8727 will be approved by the Operations Committee this morning. Thank you, Tech.
And thank you. This is all actually a lot harder than I anticipated it would be, to tell you the truth. I've read these resolutions for many people many times over the years. It's a lot tougher to be on this end of it, to tell you the truth. And I certainly can't compete with Cynthia in terms of making this kind of farewell presentation, so I won't even attempt. But I do want to say it's a very humbling experience. Today is a very humbling experience. I did not anticipate it. I'm a little bit in shock mode here, but very much appreciated. You know, in my own view, I'm not really going away. I'm just changing hats. You know, I've got too much investment here. I care what you do. So I'll never be far away, and I'll always be picking at you. So, you know, that's just me. That's what I'm going to do. So for me, it's not that big a deal. You know, it's just, as I said, I'm changing hats. But nevertheless, I'm still blindsided by all this today because I'm a naive person, I suppose, but it's much appreciated. And I am humbled and very, very proud to be a member of the team, and I'll continue to be a member of the team, you know, so thank you very much.
Public comment?
So I would like to let the people in Zoom know, as well as the public here, that we will start off our public comments with the in-person members, attendees, and then we're going to go to the Zoom attendees. So when I call your name, please go to the podium. Phil Sauter, Roger Roberts, and Larry Minikes, please, in that order. And then let me go ahead and remind everyone that you will have 3 minutes to go ahead and leave your comment.
Go ahead, Phil.
Good morning. I'm Phil Sauter from Woodacre. And one of the things that surprised me about the last few days is the emotion that has crept into the acknowledgements. It's very unusual, I think, to have a public utility board that is so well revered by its constituents, not only as a board, but as individuals. I remember one of my first appearances before the board when we were fighting the Blueberry Ridge tank out in the valley. It was Director Kohler who suggested putting together a citizens advisory committee which gave us access to staff and the data and the assumptions and so on, and was really a great format for waging that battle. And I thank her for that. Director Gibson, as we had those meetings, even though he didn't represent the Valley, he came to most of those meetings, and I was always impressed by a person who knew so much and still wanted to learn more. And finally, Director Bragman, I mean, I've rarely gone to a Marin Water volunteer event for pulling broom without seeing him on the business end of a weed wrench. So it's not only the organization itself, but it's the individuals that really mean a lot. I know I hear loud and clear the loss of institutional knowledge, and I think that President Russell is picking up on something really important by pointing out that there's opportunities to continue to serve. I was so glad to hear Director Gibson say that he wants to. I think the district would benefit from more citizens advisory committees. And I think that recent board members could be real assets on those committees. The Lagunitas Creek Technical Advisory Committee, Director Bragman attends most of those meetings and as always has a lot to offer. And I think more use of those kinds of committees is a way to retain that institutional memory. So, and I think that everyone can continue to contribute a great deal. And thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Phil.
We public interested parties have our own regrets. We've all been involved in trying to help this district move forward. And so we've developed a working relationship with all of you. And now more than half are leaving. And I echo Phil Suter's remarks that I hope that your institutional memory will still be available to all of us. And so I just want to thank you for your willingness to listen to us. And we always appreciated the fact that you took us seriously. Thank you again. And we hope to see more of you in the future. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Roger.
Excuse me, after Larry Minikes is Barbara Bogard, Ford Green, and Nona Dennis, please. And I'll repeat it later. Go ahead, Mr. Minikes.
Good morning, and I want to second the remarks of both Phil and Roger and show my deep appreciation for your years of service. I made my heartfelt comments known the other night, so I'm not going to repeat them here. Running a municipal district is a never-ending job. No matter what, there's always more to do. And what's important here and what you directors can be proud of is you're leaving it in a place where we can move forward toward a bright future, and just so deeply appreciative of all the work you've done these years, and do look forward to you continuing being involved. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Larry.
Miss Barbara Bogard, Ford Green, and then Nona Dennis.
Good morning, Barbara Bogard, Mill Valley. I wasn't going to speak this morning. I just, excuse me, wanted to show up out of respect to the outgoing directors, but never missing a chance to say a few words. I will say a few words. It is a much more emotional day than I expected. It's been a more emotional week than I expected. I would like to speak specifically about Director Bragman because he's the director that I know best. But I want to thank all of you for the way that you're leaving the water district. We owe Director Bragman a huge debt of gratitude for many things. His leadership and commitment to an herbicide-free watershed not only has created a safe, beautiful watershed, but rippled throughout Marin County, because we honestly were able to use the fact that the watershed could be managed herbicide free to push the rest of the county into managing its lands without the use of herbicides. And we're very close to that goal. There's story after story about Director Bragman. Am I supposed to call you Director Bragman? Helping person after person, individual stories. They go on and on and on without much fanfare, without acknowledgement. His dedication to transparency, the live streaming the meetings, the research he does religiously on every issue. He shows up everywhere. His commitment to equity. Director Bragman has as much integrity as any human being I have ever known. He came into office with it, and he's leaving office with his integrity intact. And I just hope that Marin County appreciates how fortunate we are to have directors like all three of you willing to serve the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. My name is Ford Green. Thank you, Mr. Russell. My comments here, I'm from a little bit longer from the San Anselmo Town Council. And my comments are really directed with respect to Larry Bragman. I've known Larry as one of my closest friends, at this point for decades. And a lot of our friendship has been forged riding mountain bikes up on the slopes of Mount Tam. And in the course of that, I've learned to appreciate Larry's character. And I think all of us recognize that the most effective component of good leadership is character. And so what is character? Foremost, it's honesty, it's intelligence, it's diligence, it's warmth, and it's humility. Larry has all those components. And in addition, as Barbara mentioned, he's got a work ethic that's second to none. Everybody knows that who serves publicly, that there's particular jargon in language to every area that you've got to address. And so not only do you have to learn the language, you have to learn the procedures, you have to learn the interrelationships, and not of all least, you got to learn the people who are in those positions. And so all of that kind of goes in the category of homework. And Larry really does his homework. And I've listened to it a lot as we've been grunting up the steep slopes of Mount Tamalpais. So Larry's departure is a serious loss. The Water District faces serious challenges, and no amount of organizing behind a water Jesus can compensate for the district's loss of Mr. Bragman's ouster. We have a wonderful watershed here in Marin County. It produces delicious water. Let's keep it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ford, and thank you for your service.
Excuse me. After Miss Nona Dennis is Frank Egger, please.
Good morning, board members.
Good morning,
and
Nona.
Staff. I have stood in front of this board a number of times and tried to give you advice. What you don't know is that MMWD has been my source of education for 50 years. It began with Dietrich Stroh. In fact, it began with Bill. Bill, what's his name? You know, the previous general manager who preceded, on the inflection point of the water district, when it began to realize that water is not just something that flows in a pipe, but it comes from a watershed. And that was the beginning of my education. When a couple of engineers called us from MMWD, a small group of us, and said, you know, it's 1972, we have to do something called an EIR. And it's about some water tanks. I think Clarinda was never built. Paradise Tank was built. There were 3 water tanks that had to have what's an EIR? And without the resources of Google, we had to find out. And we said, we'll get back to you in the morning. And that's how a consultant is born. So we did that. And over the years, I mean, EIR was that thick. And it was about how many oaks and madrones might be taken down. So over the years, MMWD has continued to be my source of education on water. And it's come from a variety of people, from Marty Griffin, who was here on the board, from Pam Lloyd, from Polly Smith. Polly's gone. And so it's a continuing relationship, what I think of as a reciprocal one, in which I have then had the gall to advise you what to do. And at the same time, you know, what I'm really learning from them. So that relationship has continued. And now, as you make this transition, and I indeed am sorry, first of all, that Cynthia finally, after 18 years, has decided to have another life. And it began, I would say now, my relationship with the 3 who are leaving sort of began with Cynthia, I think, 18 years ago, when, and I did bring it, Cynthia. I told you, this is what you handed me. It's kind of sums it up for Cynthia. She handed this to me when we first met, when she was going to run for water board, and it is called Putting It Back Together, Making Ecosystem Restoration Work. I think that kind of sums up Cynthia for me, her leadership in water conservation and efficiency, and in understanding that the water is not just water in a pipe that we drink, but it's an ecosystem that we take precious care of. And then with Larry, our relationship has been less. We've just agreed, actually. Sorry, Barbara, on the pesticide. We were upset that he had taken this one tool of herbicide out of the toolbox of rarely used but used effectively out of the integrated pest management toolbox. And then finally, Jack has been my source of history, which I have followed religiously for all those 50 years of the watershed, which is my view and has been for many, many, many years, all the years I've lived in Mill Valley. So to all 3 of you, my gratitude, and I look forward to continuing to see you, Larry, your humility about mountain biking and your understanding that it's not my favorite sport. So we look forward to continuing to work with all of you. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Nona, for all of your work.
Thank you. And keep up your comments, and we keep learning from you, Nona. And Bill Seeger was the name you were looking for. Bill Seeger was the name you were looking for.
Bill Seeger.
Seeger, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
After Mr. Frank Egger is Stephanie Hellman, and then Gordon Renessen.
Hi, Frank.
Good morning, all. Frank Egger from Fairfax. I've been involved in fisheries issues for a long time throughout California. In fact, I started by fishing the streams here in Marin County in the 1940s. I fished most of them in the 1940s as a kid. Your charge is not just providing water. Your charge is protecting the land. 21,000 acres. And the fisheries, of course, Lagunitas Creek, Steelhead, Coho. So, you know, I've watched you a long time. I've come down and commented from time to time when I disagreed with you. You know that. But you've been great stewards of the land. It's interesting. I'm not a water scientist, but I can tell you I know an awful lot about water. It's interesting. I read this morning the Republican proposals. Now that they've taken over the House of Representatives, they're going to resurrect the Keystone XL pipeline. They're going to increase fracking. They're going to give up public lands for oil drilling. They're going to have oil drilling off the coast. They're just on and on and on. And I don't want to say there's a correlation between the new members coming on the water board and the Republican Party, but I'm really worried. I'm concerned about toilet to tap. I'm concerned about desalination. I'm concerned about getting water from outside of our areas. When I say areas, Marin and Sonoma and Mendocino County. So I wish the three of you well. You've done a heck of a job, and I'm sorry to see you go. It's going to be a long battle because I read that report from the grand jury, and I'm thinking, who were the water experts in the grand jury that came up with these ideas? A 4-year supply of water. I mean, no one's got a 4-year supply of water. It was just crazy, and somehow that ruled the day. Everyone said we need a 4-year supply of water. We have to get water from wherever because that's the most important thing. No one mentioned the fisheries. No one mentioned the 21,000 acres of public lands that you steward. So in finishing, I just want to say thank you very much for the three of you, Cynthia and Jack and Larry.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you for.
Stephanie, please.
And thank you, Frank, for all the time you've taken with the Water District.
Good morning. I'm Stephanie Hellman, currently serving as mayor in Fairfax. I was a little emotional here. I want to echo the sentiment of Ms. Bogard and Mr. Green and Mr. Egger, and just share that I have the utmost respect and admiration for Director Bragman. For me personally, he's been so generous with his time and his expertise. And I so appreciate his commitment to equity and to the natural surroundings that we all enjoy here in Marin County. Larry, you're so modest and you're so gracious and you're so generous. And in particular, you've spent time with me in helping me understand the complexities of this work that you all do. So thank you, all of you. Every conversation that I have with Larry and his wife, Holly, I learn more about the vast contributions you have given to the broader community, whether it's Golden Gate Villages or the food pantry that you and Holly manage. I learn every engagement I have, I learn about more and more of the amazing contribution you've given to this county. I offer you my sincere gratitude for your service in this role and all the other roles you play in the county. And I sincerely hope you stay engaged. I know you will. And thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for your service.
I was just going to share Stephanie's time. Thanks, of course, to all three of you, but I brought a little something for Larry. He has no excuse anymore. I got tickets to Hawaii. We're going December 2nd. Okay.
Gordon Renison.
And thank you, Holly, and thank you for your service as well.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gordon Renison. I'm Director Kohler's husband, and I've been happy to share it with you all for the last 18 years. But back earlier this year, when she came to me and said, I think 18 years is enough. I think it's time. We talked about it and decided, it was time to move on. And for Director Kohler, this really has been a third job, or perhaps a third and a fourth job. She's a wife, she's a mother, she runs a nonprofit, and the amount of time she is devoted to this. Last year during the drought, she was occupying the center chair there, metaphorically, since we didn't have any in-person meetings, and it felt like every day there was an expert or a reporter or somebody who she was spending time with on the telephone. The time that Cynthia has put in this room is just a fraction of what she's devoted. So it's been a good run. I think she made the right decision to step down, and I'm going to be glad to be in a position where we don't go to cocktail parties and I lose my wife for an hour while somebody pins her in the corner and talks about reservoirs or e-bikes. So let's play hooky. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gordon, and thank you for your service.
I have no further speakers for in person, and I don't see any raised hands for Zoom.
Okay, well,
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, one did just raise this.
Okay.
Digital Pantry, I'm going to allow you to speak. Go ahead.
Hello, I apologize. This is my work account. My name is Gabriel Renison. I'm the son of Director Kohler, and I just wanted to call in and offer some comments briefly, because I've seen firsthand all her hard work, not firsthand actually, but I've seen her hard work outside of the this boardroom, and I've seen her dedication. I've seen it when I'm hiking or drinking delicious water, so I wanted to express my gratitude for her nearly 2 decades of service to the water district. I know she's looked out for the better interests of our community and consistently upheld our community's values of water conservation and preservation. So thank you, Mom, for keeping our water fresh, delicious, and affordable, and for keeping our natural parks clean and our trails maintained. You have some big shoes to fill, and I'm sure you will be missed. And I know all your service will serve as a stellar example for the future. Thank you so much. That's all.
Thank you, Gabriel. You don't remember this, but I met you for the first time at the Water District. You were in a stroller and your mom was parked out in front here. And that was the first time I met Cynthia, was at the district. And, but you have been a wonderful son to her. And I know she appreciates your love and your support during all the time she's been on the board. And thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
There are no further speakers.
Okay. Well, with that, I would like to have us all stand and okay. We need to codify these resolutions into reality. So if you could make the motion, Monty.
So I'd like to make a motion to codify these resolutions into our board meeting notes.
And I will second it. And I guess we need a roll call.
I think we've had the public comment.
I think so. That's true.
Okay. Director Bragman.
Aye.
Director Gibson. Director Kohler.
Aye.
Vice Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
And Chair Russell.
Aye. And we will hustle through the rest of this meeting. I really like the clock behind you, Ben. It's my kind of clock. You see, meeting hasn't even started yet. I'd never be late with that clock.
And
right twice a day.
So, well, it's just an hour behind. It's just, I didn't hear about daylight savings. So, but we're going to have a little celebration, as you can see, after the meeting, and we'll go from there. Thank you all for attending and for all the support that you folks have given to the board. Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the Operations Committee.
Second.
Public comment? None.
There are none.
Roll call?
Director Bragman.
Aye.
Director Gibson. Director Kohler.
aye.
Vice Chair Schmidt.
Aye.
And Chair Russell.
Aye. Okay, we have one more resolution here, and then we'll never have a vote again from this board. So it is the reason I was late this morning. So obviously the work is proceeding with or without me. But could we pick up on that one? Oh, you're ready. Okay. Hi, Alex. Hi, Crystal.
Type it one more time. You're good.
Okay. Good morning, directors. Crystal Yasmin, Director of Engineering.
See, we don't have the fancy ones with the red lights, huh?
Yeah.
We just got a little green button we got to watch down there. Sorry.
As we were absorbing the impacts of the election last week, come Monday morning, we had an emergency pipe break on Paradise Drive in Tiburon that required immediate attention and all hands on deck.
2 baseball throws from my house, you know.
Right, exactly. So with that, today, we actually have an approval item for the committee because we did have to get into emergency mode in order to make the repair. As you know, Tiburon, Paradise Drive is a critical emergency route for public safety. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Alex Anaya, who's been working hard this week to get everything in line to execute the repair, which is currently ongoing.
And for bicycles too. They were in front of our queue. They went through first.
Well, good morning, directors. I'm Alex Anaya, Engineering Manager of the Design Division. So I'll be presenting this item this morning. So as Crystal just mentioned, this past Monday, we had a main break on a section of 1939 6-inch cast iron pipe near the address of 4755 Paradise Drive. The water main is located about 6 feet away from the retaining wall. And when the main broke, the water found its way underneath the retaining wall, which saturated the soil, causing a section of the retaining wall embankment about 30 feet wide by 24 feet long and deep to fail, exposing 4 of the wall foundation piers.
And keep in mind that this is a retaining wall that one would have kept the bus from going over the hill, which it did. One of the municipal buses slid down the hill, and the car that ended up in one of my neighbor's backyards, when it went over the hill, this is the same retaining wall. That's why it's there. This was a tricky turn. It still is a tricky turn, but the retaining wall is really critical to safety.
Absolutely, Director Russell. So district staff immediately mobilized and responded to the main break, including Marin County Department of Public Works staff and the district's consulting engineer, Miller Pacific, to inspect and evaluate the damage. The geotechnical identified that the damage needed immediate attention to prevent failure of that retaining wall. So discussion amongst the group determined that a grouted riprap repair would be adequate to stabilize the embankment and provide support to the retaining wall.
That's what the rock is for. I was wondering, there's a big pile of rock out there this morning.
That's exactly what it's for. So district staff then informed senior staff of the failure that required immediate attention and recommended it be done via an emergency contract. We then contacted Major and Gelati for construction availability, and they showed up within minutes and came on site to discuss the repair with the group. Based on the field discussion and the time frame that we have, Major Gelati was able to provide a proposal for the repair in the amount of $192,695 to be done under a time and materials basis, which basically means we're going to be tracking equipment, material, and time done to do this repair. Major Gelati did mobilize out there yesterday, so they're starting removing all the slide material in preparation for the actual repair. Given the time frame that we have and the nature of this work, staff is recommending at least a 25% contingency to cover any unforeseen costs associated with this repair, making the total amount, including the contingency and the emergency contract, not to exceed $250,000. So based on that, the district staff recommendation action is to approve a resolution awarding an emergency contract for the repair of Paradise Drive and continue the district's emergency contracting provisions and authorize the general manager to execute necessary contracts, including the contingency, in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
Thank you. What's the long-term plan for the 1930 cast iron pipe?
We should be replacing that sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, they just repaved that portion of Paradise, and that is a very tricky task because it's 2 lanes and it's got 4 lanes of traffic and 4 lanes of bicycles that make life difficult out there to close it as it is closed right now. So anyway, so it's coming in it's got more priority now because of the failure, or?
I would say so, based on the nature, the age of the pipe and the failure that we just had.
Split on the top?
It broke on the side.
That's a little unusual.
It's a full circle crack, but it caused substantial damage.
Well, you haven't affected our water supply, so I was able to take a shower this morning. So
yes,
that's good.
Water is still going, so we are good with that.
I'm going to feel comfortable making this motion to approve this resolution.
Second.
Thank you.
Public comment? Roll call.
There are none and not even on Zoom yet. Roll call. Director Bragman,
Aye.
Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Kohler,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schmidt,
Aye.
and Chair Russell.
Aye. Okay, thank you. And thank you for jumping on that right away.
Thank
Although,
you very much.
as I said, what's the cause of me being late this morning? But other than that, everything's cool. So with that, that was our last vote as this board. So keep that in mind. And it's a tough time for everybody here. A water supply assessment for proposed Northgate Town Square redevelopment.
Again, good morning, directors. Crystal Yasmin, Director of Engineering. Today, we will be presenting the draft water supply assessment for proposed Northgate Town Square redevelopment project. And I have with me today Alicia Irish, our engineering manager for planning.
Good morning, directors. Today, I'm here to present to you the water supply assessment for the proposed Northgate Town Square redevelopment project. In January 2022, the city of San Rafael, as the lead agency under CEQA, held a scoping meeting in connection with its environmental impact report for the proposed redevelopment of the Northgate Shopping Center. This proposed project will create over 1,400 residential units, along with a variety of mixed space uses. A project of this magnitude triggers California Water Code requirements for supplying water authorities to produce a water supply assessment for evaluation of water supply and demand impacts. To aid in this effort, the district retained EKI, Environment and Water, the same consultant involved with the district's 2020 Urban Water Management Plan. This water supply assessment evaluated 4 different scenarios: normal, single dry year, multiple dry year, and extreme drought scenarios. The scenarios consistent in the latest Urban Water Management Plan. Using conservative estimates of projected demand for the proposed project and other available information, the district expects to be able to meet all future demands within its existing service area, inclusive of the proposed project for normal, single dry, and multiple dry historical hydrologic years. While shortfalls are projected during an extreme drought scenario, they are not materially different than what would be experienced without the proposed project. During these shortfalls, these would be addressed through planned implementation of the district's water shortage contingency plan. In addition, as you know, the district is currently preparing a strategic water supply assessment that will identify ways in which its water supply portfolio can be augmented to serve all users, including this proposed project. Staff is requesting the Operations Committee to review and refer this item to the board to approve the Northgate Town Square redevelopment water supply assessment to allow the CEQA process to progress.
How many units are they talking about?
1,422.
So they're still at that number.
Mhm.
Yeah. Obviously, this thing is boiling up. It's in the paper this morning and, it's kind of interesting. And I think it's important to recognize too, that it will have full recycled water supply.
That's
to it.
correct, yes.
So it'll take demand off of the freshwater system. Board comments?
Just to confirm that all units are going to be dual plumbed.
That's correct.
For recycled water in indoor non-potable use for flushing and that type of thing, along with irrigation.
That's correct.
So yeah, it could be an eco village if it's done correctly, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. My only comment about the study is it takes the project as sort of a one-off and doesn't really talk about the cumulative impact of this project and other projects for the regional housing needs assessment are really gonna impose on the district. So that's one thing that I think could be added to the study that might be criticized. But as a single project, it's good to see our capacity from Las Colinas finally being used for greater purpose. So
If I could just comment on the housing elements that are being prepared by the local jurisdictions. Once they are complete with updating their general plans, we will move forward to updating our urban water management plan to analyze what the additional housing would do for water supply. But we have to wait for them to be complete before we can do our part.
Understood, understood. Thank you.
I suppose the net zero is kind of difficult with this one. We're kind of late into that game. And the fact that most of their water usage is going to be recycled water makes it a little more complicated than a normal. I also suppose that their water demand is not substantially greater than the existing use.
There's a 168 acre feet per year increase, net increase for their water demand. And there will also be subjected.
Fresh water.
Correct. And they'll also be subjected to a connection fee for this project in the amount of about $6 million.
And in terms of the net zero policy decisions, that's something for the board to consider moving forward. As we heard from Madaus, there are some jurisdictions throughout California, water districts that are considering additional impact fees to offset new water demand to make it net zero.
Maybe we could think about routing that 6 million towards the recycled water, using it a little differently than we might use it normally. Something like that, I think would make some sense.
Or extending the pipeline that we discussed
Sure.
to Central San
Sure,
Rafael.
sure. Or looking at gray water in that location. It's got potential there too.
Love gray water.
Yeah, even roof collection. We've been heavily involved with the city of San Francisco on the 250,000 square foot buildings that all of them have collection of stormwater. Unfortunately, it's not as green as it appears, but that's okay. It still gets the job done. So maybe we could hit them on something like that to capture their rooftop runoff. It's the full size of the mall, basically.
That's my understanding, yes.
So it's pretty big. Okay. Public comment or more board comment?
Well, just appreciate the fact that you're using this as a search for opportunity here. 'Cause
Yeah.
It does seem to be loaded with potential opportunities.
Yeah, and there's a similar project at Stonestown Galleria down on 19th Avenue that we might want to take a look at to see what they're doing.
Okay. Public comment?
Yes, Mr. Roger Roberts, please. Hold on, sir.
Hello again.
Nice to see you in person, Roger.
Well, it's nice to be here. This project out at Northgate is a work in progress. You haven't heard the end of this. And I hope that you can deal with this in a manner that will make a template for all the rest of the arena development that's coming down the road. And you may want to begin thinking about how you're going to handle the required housing increase within the district. So I'm pleased that you're working very closely on this. Larry, those are good suggestions. But you haven't seen the end of this project. There's going to be a number of changes as it moves forward because it hasn't been finally approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger.
There are no further public comments.
Okay. Cool. Okay, can I get a motion to move it to the board for approval?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All righty, our last action before we eat something fun. Watershed smoking fine update. Hi, Sean. Yeah, you're
Right,
not.
there we go. Morning, directors. Sean Horn, I'm Watershed Resources Manager, and I'm with Don Wick, our Chief Ranger.
Hi, Don.
The item that we have for you is watershed fire fine related updates. So a little broader than just smoking fines. Each year, the district has an opportunity to update and review our fine schedules. the Superior Court of Marin County sends us a notice asking us to review those and make any corrections that we might have. The board did ask us after the most recent wildfire incident on the watershed to look at fines related to fire hazards. And so we took a targeted kind of assessment of those fines. And so we're bringing this item to you to review a couple of those updates that we'd like to make through this process. And the last time I'll just note that we made these revisions was in 2017 through a resolution in which we aligned our fines with the county's fine structure. And so in this, focused review, we were looking at fire-related hazards, and specifically that's regulations relating to smoking, fireworks, and fires on the watershed, being small campfires that someone might make. The increases that we'd like to see and make, and we're recommending that the board or the operations committee review and refer to a future regular board meeting, relate to increasing our fire fines from 185 to 500. I'll just note that the increase would bring the total up to $1,158 for the new fine. Similarly, we do the same structure for fireworks. And then for smoking, we're suggesting a two-tiered structure, which is in alignment with some other land management agencies and how they approach this. And so the first increase would be from 35 to 75, and then the second offense would go up to 250. And when you add up the court assessments that go along with that, that second offense would get up to $945. The first offense would be $273. And I'll just note that as part of our watershed recreation plan, we do intend to take a broader review of all of the regulations and the fines associated with those. But in today's item, we're just really looking at these fire-related hazards. So with that, we'll take any questions that you might have regarding this item.
Seems like a great idea.
No, it's a good idea and a little bit overdue, but a good reminder. And I think we should change our signs to remind folks on the watershed what the fines are, because these are significant fines. And one other thought is, on a third offense, maybe it should be a misdemeanor. So, tier it up.
Are you talking just for the smoking one, or which one are you talking
Fire,
about?
maybe fire,
also? Okay.
If you have multiple fire violations, that should be a misdemeanor.
Yeah, currently the fire one is a misdemeanor.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
okay.
even for the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. As is the fireworks. Yeah.
Good.
Is there anything more we can do for you guys, Don?
No, I think that we, like Sean alluded to, is in the rec plan, we need to review all the ordinances and the fines that are associated with them. It's kind of a process. I think this will help. It's hard for us, particularly with smoking, because we have to on-view it.
Yes.
We respond to a lot of them, but
Yes.
by the time we get there, they're
Of
no
course.
longer doing it. We have cited people for having fires, both on the watershed and also near Kent Lake. And unfortunately, those were during like red flags, which boggles my mind why people do that. But this will help.
What quantity do you, how often is that?
It's not that often. Like in the last, I think 3 or 4 years, we've done it twice. We cited somebody for fires twice. So it's not that often, but it's still very concerning.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yes.
Maybe there's an education aspect we need to hit harder on, especially on the red flag part.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't even know what to say.
Well, we've signed the watershed numerous times. We have a lot of signs out there now.
Yeah, there are a lot of signs.
And people
Maybe more in
still
the
just walk
in the
by 'em.
newsletter, maybe more, maybe more on the website.
Yeah, we can try hitting it.
Yeah.
To Adrian.
Yeah. I'm comfortable referring this to the full board.
Okay, cool.
There's a
Well,
public comment or?
Apparently.
Yes.
There is a public comment.
Yes,
Thank you
there is
so
a public
much.
comment. Sorry, I was trying to get my timer ready. Yes, Larry Minikes, please.
I'm waiting patiently. May I suggest for red flag days, and I don't know if the municipal code would allow this, but trebling the fine to make it obvious. I have seen a person smoking on a red flag day, and I had words with that person. So it does happen. Also, all motor vehicles are banned during red flag days, except e-bikes. And I think this needs to be made clear. Even though the danger of a fire from an e-bike is small, it is known to happen. And it should be made clear during these red flag days that no motor vehicle of any kind should be on the watershed. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. There are no further speakers on both in person and on Zoom.
Okay, well, All I can do is say thank you very much. Thank you. It's been a very pleasant ride. And you'll be missed. Okay, with that, we'll adjourn. Thank you.